my download is also finished. Just kind of got to figure out my my bandwidth. A lot of up and downloads going on here today. So just hanging on there until YouTube catches up, which usually takes a minute, and then we are good to go for what is hopefully finally maybe going to be the end of this boss fight streaming series, which has been going on for way too long. So there's two major things that we still need to do today, and those are a taunting animation and fixing up the swing animations to use some sort of like IK solution, so that it doesn't. I'll just show you what it does, because that's a lot easier than explaining it. I'm going to mute the ever-living hell out of that. So what it does is, if I walk up to this dude, he's not moving. That's a bad. Okay, now he's moving. So he tries to swing at me, but if I stand too close to him, he literally just cannot hit me. I said I was going to try to combat this with IK. Looking at this, like if I just stand here, I can do all the IK in the world. That's not going to help. Because like how... I'm trying to make a point. Would you please not disappear on me? Thank you very much. Like, I can do all the IK in the world, right? But his arm is just not going to get into a position reasonably without, like, doing some weird angles. That's going to hit me. So what I need to do instead is I just need to move him backward. What he needs to do is he needs to move into a position further away. So he needs to move back. And I can do that either in the animation, applying some root motion. That is the easiest way to do this. I also think it is probably the most iffy way to do it. Because we're going to still be relying on the fact that everything else aside from the animation like stays the same. So if we do this through moving the root motion through code instead, that's probably going to be a little bit more robust. I think I prefer that direction, but I'm not entirely decided on this yet. Matter of fact, like 2 minutes ago when I started this stream, I was fully planning on doing this with IK, and then I showed off what the issue was, and I'm like, no, IK isn't going to work. Like, IK isn't going to solve this issue. Maybe for the Knight, which is also a boss that we at some point need to revise with all the, like... Oh, I knocked over my water bottle. Fuck. Let me go get a thing to clean that up with. Dirty shirt, that'll work. We need to also revise the first boss fight for like the tutorial area at some point. That needs to go into my dirty laundry anyway. And maybe for him, we'll look into some kind of IK solution. I think that might seem a little bit more reasonable. But for now, we're going to go into enemies, blueprint characters, bosses, Reaper. And I think what we're going to do is we have the Reaper dash, and then we have coming off that we've got Reaper dash attack 1, right? So this is this plays a montage, and just before we start playing that montage, I think what we want to do is we want to like apply root motion. And we're just kind of going to play around with this. I think we want to immediately also start the animation montage. So we don't want to wait for this to finish. So we don't use the on finish pin, we just use the top pin right away. And then the warp direction is going to be like, at this point, I am fairly certain that we can be... I was going to say we can just get the forward vector from the actor and invert it to make a move backwards. But I think it's, I mean, it's just as easy to just use the find look at rotation between our avatar actor. So get actor location, get location, and then we'll also just do that on the player character. So we get player character. See, this is just as easy, and we can just get the vector direction from that as well. Like if we, I think it's get x vector, right? Yeah. That gets you the vector. And then we have the strength and the duration. Now this is the interesting bit. This is where we... that's a very good question. This applies it with a force. Maybe you actually want to root motion, move to move to active force, move to force. I don't know if this is going to work off of the physics system, because if it does, this is just not going to work, because we made this thing heavy as all hell, so that we couldn't push him around. So let's just stick with this. Let's just for now do a force of 100 over a period of like 0.2 seconds and just see what that does. This also should be inverted though. That's not what that does. We need to multiply. I'm trying to 1 minus it, but this is not a material. Is there a invert? I think it's called negate, right? Negate vector. There we go. So now we'll move backwards away from the player. Because that is the thing, right? It needs to move away from the player in order for that attack animation to actually properly hit the player. I also just realized that I muted that sound. It didn't mute in OBS, so now you should not be deafened by it anymore. Let's just take a look at how this feels. This might suck. We don't know. I don't think that does anything. Gonna be real with you. Let me just stay here for a moment. So yeah, I don't think that really works the way I want it to work. Let's just, for shits and giggles, up this to like 1500 instead. Just so that we can see the effect of it a little bit more. But I don't think that it's resetting like the velocity. I think it is using the physics. Which now I think about it doesn't make a lot of sense, because it should reset its velocity to 0 on end. But yeah, you see, that's kind of a problem. That's not great. Oh, velocity on finish is set velocity. We need to set that to 0. That's my bad. Okay, so maybe this can still work. But yeah, I think it is setting it through the physics system instead of, which is fine. I mean, that is improvement. That is improvement. Right. Okay, so we need to negate vector, and we also probably we need a little bit more room here. It's also moving upward, and that's not exactly what we want. So we want to make vector, and the z value should just be 0. So it's only moving back in the x and the y, so it doesn't just move into the ether, into nothingness, because that would be, it's not exactly what we want. But this solution seems like it might actually work fairly well. So let's take a look. When I'm not, maybe even a little too much right now. So if we set this back to like 1,000, let's go 1150. Feels good. Again, I'm one of those fuckers who doesn't like using round numbers, because I feel like just guessing a round number feels like, I don't know, it feels too convenient. Whereas, okay, that's pretty good. Well, I can't seem to get close to him anymore. Okay, he's actually like pretty consistent at hitting me now. Not with that attack though. But with those like lower swipes, he's pretty consistent. I just think that with... Yeah, okay. Well, that's just an animation thing, right? Because with that other swipe, he's just a little too... just a little too high. So we can fix that relatively easily, I think, if we just go into my animation level. And then somewhere in the animations folder, surely we have the thing that I am looking for. Characters, bosses, Reaper, level sequences. I think that is that slow attack? I think that might be slow attack. Well, that's worrying. Why aren't you following along? Anyway, it is that one. So I think we just kind of want to look at... We have the arm controls here. The spine controls. That should just be down. The body control, rather. It should just be down a little bit more. So if we go into world space and we just like pull this down ever so slightly. And we also make sure that this is down a little bit more. And then it's really annoying that this is not parenting properly. I don't know why that is. It's a little bit worrying. I do know why that is, actually. Never mind. That is because... hold on. It's because I fucked around with the... with this guy, right? It's this one. I disconnected some stuff. It's not that one. It's this one. I disconnected some stuff for testing purposes, I believe. Yeah, so let's reconnect that. That's a lot better. Yeah, now I think if we just make this all lean forward ever so slightly more as well. That probably... I mean, that might now clip through the floor, to be honest with you. But we'll see. Where's my level folder? Levels. You know what we're actually going to do? I'm going to favorite this because I go back and forth between these all the time. And I don't actually have any favorites in this project setup. I thought you could just drag and drop them. Maybe not. You can, right? No? Animation level. I could have sworn that you can drag and drop them. I mean, I can put them in a collection, but that's not important for right now. Looking at into all that later. Where's my persistent level? No, seriously, where is my persistent level? Where did I put that? Should be in here. 1, 2, 3, arena, central hub, main menu. I put it in tutorial. Oh, persistent rule. That was not there a second ago, was it? There was nothing down here. There probably was. It makes no sense for that asset to just disappear. There probably was something down there and I'm just an idiot. Okay, let's see if that animation feels different now. Because I think for the most part, it actually... that does feel significantly different. He's much better at hitting me now, which is, like, good. That attack is still a nightmare for him to hit, so maybe adding a little bit of, like, IK stuff to him. Actually, he did just kill me, so maybe I should just shut my damn mouth. Maybe, maybe he's fine. If I, like, dash into... Wow. Actually, like, remarkably good at hitting me. So yeah, if I now stand right up close to him, he does still hit me. And that's exactly what we need. So that takes care of effectively the biggest issue in the fight, and that is that you can just spam attack when you're standing close to him. Now that does make me think, where did my level go? I think I just need to, like, yeah, reload it. There we go. That does make me think, though, that I think he's still a little on the small side right now. If I'm being very real with you. So I'm going to make him bigger again. Going to, like, 1.5 times the size. And then this needs to probably... Let's assume that we also need to put this at about 1.5 times the amount. I don't know if that scales linearly like that, but... Let's just put it at 1600 and see. Probably doesn't scale linearly because that is... Like, that's a one-dimensional value and the other thing is a three-dimensional value. So that probably needs a little bit, like, higher value. Okay, if I stand all the way close up to you. No, that works. That does the trick. Like, not with that attack. That attack is just a nightmare, but... that does exactly what it needs to do. It actually, like, catches me in, like, the hook of the scythe. So if I just try to spam attack you while you're in your aggressive state, that's just gonna be a bad time for me, right? So I need to, like, chip damage if I want to do that. Perfect. And he's bigger now. Again, I was a little bit annoyed last time that I needed to make him smaller in order to, like, have his reach be fixed. That seems to not be needed anymore, and I kind of like the idea that the Reaper is a significantly larger model than us. So, like, for the thumbnail that I made for this stream, for instance, I put the Reaper up against the fountain because I wanted to have, like, a thumbnail that didn't look exactly the same as the last 20 thumbnails that I've made. And at this size, like, that just kind of feels kind of sad. Right? That doesn't quite feel right. But at 1.6, well, we had it at 1.5 a moment ago, but at 1.6 times, like this feels a pretty good scale compared to the Fountain, I would say. So, yeah, it's pretty good. Now we need to worry about its stats and stuff, and the... Please reply. I replied. Have a good day. That leaves stats, balancing, and the taunting animation. And I don't look forward to having to do the taunting animation, because what I have in my mind is like a pretty intricate movement of him like laughing and teasing and, well, taunting. But as we've discovered throughout the animation streams, I am bad at animating. So... And the rig for this guy is a fucking nightmare as well. We also at some point do need to give him materials. I have forgotten. We have like a texture set made for him. We made that like a month ago. Probably should start importing it at some point. I need to rework my my master material for the enemies to take in like these substance texture maps instead of the ones that I get from Blender, because Substance compacts like 3 of the texture maps into a like RGB, like opaque texture, instead of just outputting 3 white or grayscale maps, which saves a good amount of space in memory. So that's good, but that just means that I need to update my master material, which I haven't done yet. For now, I think we're gonna go to the animation level, and we're gonna make a new animation. I think that's the best thing to do. And now we just get to play the game for a while. I haven't played my own game for more than like 50 seconds at a time in a while. Matter of fact, when we saw the testing this last time, I was kind of caught off guard by the way the combat feels now, because I made changes to the combat a while ago, and then I didn't actually play with it for a long time. So in my mind, it's still in the old combat system where you're zipping around like Batman style, right? If there's an enemy in like a zip code near you, you home in on it, like through walls, almost. I kind of got rid of that, and I forgot about it, and I was kind of jarring. So I'm gonna be playing with that today. I'm gonna be very interested to see how that goes. I guess we... Is there any animation that we can use as a base for this? Not really, I don't think. Let's just copy over the hover idle and call this Reaper Taunt. And all this needs to be is just an animation where he like laughs at you a little bit. Where did his scythe go? He had a scythe. Where why is it gone? Where is it? Is it like on the ground? It is... Well, first and foremost, it is tiny. And it's also... Oh, it's probably because it is supposed to be in... Hold on. Hold on. It is... The issue is that it is supposed to be attached to... Reaper... Rig 2. But it already is, so let's detach it. Attached to Reaper Rig 2, and then I think it's called Left Sword, right? No, is it not? What is the socket called that this thing needs to be parented to? left sword. Why doesn't this visually show up? That's kinda... That's not good. It works. Oh, we also need to take like another look at his clue. I haven't taken a look at how to set that up yet at all. So we're probably gonna like do that on Thursday. We need to take a look at the collision for the cloth physics for this guy, because he's clipping through like himself in places. So maybe something that we want to look into. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. So if we go back to general here, static mesh, like, do we have any place where we give in what sockets? No. Let's set this back to a scale of 111, which is very small. If I just set this to hand R, it just straight up doesn't parent to anything. Why not? Oh, probably because I'm in animation mode. That might be why. Hopefully, maybe, we'll see. Oh, hold on. Left sword, and then I need to reset its position, I believe. There we go. Its rotation. What is its rotation? What did it reset? What happened to make it reset? I don't know. But it did. So we're gonna have to figure out how to set it back. There is something in here with Reaper enemy. I think I can just take the transform data from this entirely and just kind of put it on this, and kind of put it on this, and that is definitely not it. Okay, never mind. So maybe let's start with the rotational data. Yeah, that's not even close to correct. How is that possible? Did I copy the box transform? You are 1000% correct. That makes so much sense. Thank you very much. So now copying the... Yeah, so now we have it. Thank you. Thank you. That probably would have fucked me up for like a good 5 minutes otherwise. Yeah. So now I have context as to like how large the weapon is going to be in his hand while I'm animating him. Talking about which, let's get back to the animation. The taunting animation, which is right there. Okay. I think... look, I don't exactly know what I want to do for this, if I'm being real with you. Because the thing that I have in mind is probably going to be, honestly, just too complex for me to do. Because, I don't know if I've made this point clear yet, I suck at animation. But let's first get him into a somewhat more, like, halfway reasonable pose. Maybe that'll help. That is not exactly what I would call reasonable as far as posing goes. So let's put these in the That might be why, because we'll take care of that when we get to it. Because we were posing things in global space instead of local space. So what I'm thinking is, for its initial pose, a little something like this maybe, right? He does have like very like wide arms. He's a very like just do it pose at the moment, so maybe that's not good. Maybe we want to like get this one in closer a little bit, and then this one maybe not that close. That might be a little too close. And then have the hand tilt in a little bit more like that. So this, and then we just put a keyframe on frame 0 for everything. We're going to delete everything else. And then pose number 2 is going to be scythe taken backward. Maybe. Like, the whole idea would be that he's tilting the scythe back from you to taunt you, like, I don't even need to stay on guard, you're just such a fucking joke, right? While he keeps... What the fuck is going on with all of these? I think I moved something in world space, and that's kind of screwing me now. But he keeps looking forward, he just moves his arm back, and then while he does that, he kind of opens up this arm a little bit. So what does... So that's a pretty good start, and then from there we want you to like properly lift this arm up and in. And a little around, because what I want is I want him to like gesture like, come here, like come at me, bro. And preferably in a way that wouldn't break his wrist and or elbow and or shoulder. I mean, let's stick with that for now. This is a movement that feels like it should be hand-driven and not like shoulder-driven, right? That's what makes us feel very mechanical right now, I think, is the fact that it is, first and foremost, all 3 joints rotating at the same time. But this is one of those things where, like, I think having an IK control here would make a lot of difference. Also, I think that this elbow joint is definitely rotating through a little too far. That makes it feel like an animatronic and not a living thing. But we can offset some... I was going to say variables. We can offset some keyframes in a moment to maybe make that a little smoother and do some interpolation stuff, and we'll get there. Greetings back. Greetings back to you. So all this while, his fingers have been just pointing out very straight, and I'm not entirely sure that is what we want. So let's take these and maybe like curl them in a little bit. because then we can extend them as he does that movement. And then as his hand moves back, what we can do is we can... And again, we'll offset these as well. So that's more like a, oh, come here. Oh, that sounded very sexual. And retarded at the same time. And just generally kind of gay. Is there any more people that I can offend today? I don't know. Let's try. And I think as he does that, what we might want to do is like also kind of move the army in a little. And then I think what we want to do is specifically for the hand and everything below it, we want to like copy that movement over once or twice. That's like 15 frames, another 15 frames. It's going to be a long animation, but that's kind of the point. It needs to be a long enough taunting animation that you can walk up to him and smack him a couple of times. Now that looked really bad. But with proper curves, maybe that looks a little bit better. Maybe we also want the arm movement, maybe a little bit less than it is for the first movement. And maybe adding a little bit of just difference between those loops in general could probably be a good thing. So that it doesn't feel like it is looping the same motion every single time. And adding some shoulder motion to this as well, actually. Is probably not too bad. Yeah, that's probably... And then again, for this, what we probably want to do is get a less exaggerated version of that movement for the repeats. And then we just repeat that one more time, and then we add in some curves and stuff, but... maybe we actually remove these specific two keyframes. Let's see what that does. We've got a building block there for an animation. We're going to be spending a lot of time on the animation today, and it's probably still not going to be quite finished by the end. But as long as we have the basic like block out of the movement there, I'll probably be like somewhat happy. And then let's try to go back to that. And then we also, as we do that, we put in some spine keyframes, and we also want the spine to go back, because I also want to add in like, man, that's bad. Some keyframe somewhere isn't being copied over, because this, I don't think. That ain't it. Anyway, the idea is that he then like moves into his like forward pose again, and from here, what we do is we move him into a pose where he's like laughing. Which is gonna be quite tricky to properly do, I think, because again, mostly because I suck. And then we probably, yeah. Does that look weird? The fuck? We need to copy these keyframes as well. So many keyframes to copy. I move over. Let's just actually make that this pose, and then try to get this arm to, I don't know, I've got the like wide-armed laugh, like I am evil laugh in mind right now. Might not work with my rig, with my animation skills, with this character specifically, with this model. There might be like a lot of reasons to not do that. That we are going to run into, I don't know. For now we're gonna stick with this. If this ends up being very like bad, we'll do something else. And then the question is, how do we make like a laughing movement? How do you animate laughing? Like just rotating back? And maybe moving this ever so slightly like up. Which does stretch a little, I know, but I mean, that actually isn't horrible, I don't think. Let's space it out 5 frames, and then we do this back a little bit. What the fuck is this one then? Which control? That's spine 9, sure. It's not spine 9, it's spine 5. Which control is spine 5? Oh, it's this one. Oh my god, that's bad. But that might just be a speed thing. Like, let's... Like, let's make this like 15 frames long. 14 frames works for me. And then like up to 10. What is this cutscene for? This is a gameplay animation that we're doing at the moment. I don't even want to be thinking too much about the cutscene that needs to go before this dude as well at some point. We'll do that at some point. I still need to figure out the best way to do cutscenes that involve my player character, because I did one of them and it bogged out, and I just need to like do a little bit of research on what is the best way to like include your active player character in a cutscene. because I'm not entirely sure what the like best practices for that is. I rock with it maybe. The same with the head. Yeah, there's this arms like it's holding that tummy. That could be that could work. Yeah. Although that kind of is more of like a, I don't know, that feels more like a wholesome laugh than an evil laugh. There's like, I shall rule the world. Pose kind of works for like the evil laugh, I think, for a taunting animation. Again, this is just a block out for now. I just kind of want this. It's going to need to have like a sound effect to go with it as well, which gets me into sound design, which I have done like almost 0 on, because that's... If you think I'm bad at animation, just wait until I start on sound design. It's actually like a nightmare. But for like a rough block out of the animation, which this is at the moment, like this is at this point almost a 10-second animation. If we then give him to like frame 280 to return to his default pose, which this will also then be the blending out of the animation, so there will be a little bit of that. Maybe it'll look weird. I don't know, we'll see. But that's a 280 frame at 30 frames per second, so that's like a 9-second animation at the moment. Obviously, there's going to be some like re-timing of things, so it might end up being slightly shorter. But I think that this is a pretty good guidance as for, hey, something is happening here. There is some movement. That is enough player feedback for now to test things. And if anything, I think it might end up being slightly... Then leaning forward would be better. Leaning forward? No. No, I don't think leaning forward would be better. I mean, I can try it real quick, but like that would be... I mean, for the laughing animation, like for the rocking back and forth, I think leaning backward is better, but I do think you're onto something. For this first movement, I think if he moves into like leaning forward and then does this first, and then does the rocking back and forth a little bit. Oh, and that is the other thing here is totally accidental, is the fact that his arms keep moving throughout the laughing, which makes it feel like less looped. That actually kind of works as well. But yeah, I do think actually the like the leaning forward first and then leaning backward, this needs to be a little bit faster. But again, we'll worry about actual like animation timing at some point in the future. That's not a right now kind of concern. I think that initial lean forward does makes the initial backward movement larger as well, right? So maybe that can actually even be like slightly slower, because the movement is now larger. It does need to be a bit faster. Well, a couple of frames extra length there probably does what it needs to do. Well, it feels like a Disneyland animatronic at this point, which is enough for me. Looks like he's gesturing to come at him. That's the idea, yeah. I don't mean the hand. Oh, yeah, maybe a little bit, but that's also still the idea. So if that's how it's interpreted, that's actually kind of like, I'm fine with that. Again, there's going to be a sound effect of like, I have the idea. Do you know the sound effect from Mario 64 of Bowser laughing? Like, that sound effect, effectively, but, like, not copyright infringing, uh, is going to be under it as well. And honestly, as important as animation is for conveying stuff, conveying emotion, conveying messages, conveying, like, gameplay feel, sound is, like, 3 times as important still. The fact that my game has barely any sound definitely doesn't help things. Once there's a laughing sound effect under this, I feel like, and the animation is it's a little less stiff than it is right now. I think the intention will be conveyed a little bit more, but we'll see. Again, this is mostly a we just need something in there. So create a linked animation sequence here. Fucking where is it gonna be? It's in animations, characters, bosses, Reaper, animation sequences, Reaper balls, taunts. I'm gonna be using meta sounds probably. Yeah, probably. I've played around with meta sounds a little bit. That's likely something that I'm going to be using. The only reason that I wouldn't use meta sounds is if I bother learning Fmod or Wise, 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 right? But I really like, because I'm nowhere near like an audio engineer. I'm nowhere near a sound designer. Um, like I get the basic needs of the job done when I need to, but that's about it. I don't know if I'm going to like spend time learning those external like software, external plugins to work with. And I've already played around a little bit with meta sound, and meta sound seems to pretty much do what I need it to do. The only thing that Fmod would really supply to me, which I would very much like, is the fact that it has a timeline-like structure, right? So, like, you have your audio on a timeline, and that's just for a workflow purpose. Like, that is what I'm used to. Like, when I am editing video, of course, like, it's very similar to that. And being able to, like, put in, again, very similar to in the sequencer here, where I could, like, put in an event here. I could put that in with Fmod as well, which is theoretically all possible with meta sounds, as far as I'm aware. But there you're much more like, because everything is node based, you don't have like that visual indication of this is where I am in my timeline, that's where my time code is, I can just scrub back and forth, that kind of stuff. So I am thinking about maybe giving Fmod a shot whenever I get into more sound design stuff, which is part of the reason that I haven't really done much sound, because I haven't made that decision yet on what I want to use. So I'm a little on the fence about all that. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a very quick bathroom break, because I didn't have time to do that before the stream, and I've been streaming for an hour and drinking water to like keep my mouth from drying out. So I'm going to take a quick bathroom break. I will be back, and then we'll be implementing a ability that just places animation, which actually I think we already have one, because if we do the ability for no we don't. I was gonna say we can just use visibility, but we just added something to it that doesn't make that feasible. Anyway, the only thing that it needs to do is play in montage and wait, so we can just like play basic attack animation. We'll figure it out. I'll be back in a moment. And there we are again. My cables are all tied up in my chair. That's a fantastic way to come back. Okay, anyway. Another reason that I might want to use meta sound though over Fmod is because it comes with Unreal, obviously. And part of the consideration for when I learn like new systems is without a doubt also partly rooted in like how much will tutorials of this be worth? Like once I actually learn to work with it and I make videos on it, how much is that worth? And I feel like meta sound, because it is implemented inside Unreal directly, it's provided to you by Epic. There's going to be more people wanting to work with that, and there's going to be more people looking for that than there will be Fmod users trying to learn Fmod. So that is always a consideration that I also make when deciding what to learn. And that I don't doubt that meta sound will perform better from like a video making perspective because of that. Okay, so we make the taunting into a montage. We can just call that taunt montage, that's fine. And then we just kind of... do we even need to make that a gameplay ability? Do we just... Hold on. We might just have... an AI task that just plays a montage. Let's check out if we do, because we don't need to make it a gameplay ability either. PT task, play montage. We 1000% do. So this is going to change into being a taunting montage. Then we wait for a certain amount of time after that montage, which let's check out this montage just to be sure. Finish execute only on interrupt or on complete. That is great. That kind of, again, with a very, very rough animation, that kind of puts together, I think, everything about this boss fight, except a few things. Still a few things that we need to worry about. The resetting of the defense bar. But I think for bosses specifically, I do want those to behave slightly differently. No, they behave the same, I think, for normal enemies, as I'm thinking right now. We'll just take a look at how they behave and we'll see. For now, I think we just go back into my persistent word level. That's what was happening the other time there. It's for some reason, sometimes there's like extra assets in here, which makes the persistent word move down there, but that doesn't make any sense. Is it just like the level of zoom? It probably is just the level of zoom. Okay, let's put the behavior tree side by side as well, because I don't even know what the default value, like, does he start aggressive or passive? Because he should start passive, I think, which he does. Like, he's like, hey, come at me, bro. Muhahaha, I'm evil. At which point he waits for like a hot second, lets me attack him a few times, and then he goes into his aggressive state, which, my god, it's annoying to do this while the behavior tree is blocking my view. Okay, so the thing is, I need to get the hell away from here. Even if I run away now, he will start chasing me with that dash attack or with that other attack. Yes, that duration definitely needs to be short. And then we've got the teleport attack at the end of his aggressive phase, which is also grand. He does that, and then he goes back to that. He's like, come attack me, bro. Come at me. And we can just deal a little bit of damage. So his defense bar doesn't drop until it is fully depleted, at which point it should come back to being fully up in a few seconds here. But I died, so fuck me, I guess. Yeah, so maybe I need to lower his damage a little bit, or increase my damage. But we've got something going here, I would argue. We definitely also... oh, yeah, I need to increase the height of the... You can't hit me when I'm here, can you? So yeah, we also need to put in some like force field so that we can't exit here. But we'll worry about that in a moment. I feel like I'm almost dead. Okay, gives me an opportunity to attack him again. I feel like the time between my attacks is a little on the long side. Doesn't feel very satisfying as a result. And now the idea is that I run away again and I can like do my healing. Where's my heal button? Which is my heal button? That's my special attack button. It's definitely not my heal button. My particles don't turn off again. Oh fuck. That's my heal button. There we go. So at some point I'll be fully healed and I'll stop healing, I think. Yes. Yeah, so those particles don't turn off for some reason. But okay, so the idea is after a couple of seconds, his like defense bar here comes back. So that's grand. That's amazing. That's perfect. That is, I want to get rid of these particles. Can I please get rid of these particles? No, because I don't have any MP for it anymore. Of course. So yeah, now as we move through the boss fight, I think at some point his aggressiveness duration should start. He's stuck in an ability again. Why is he stuck in an ability? Why is he stuck in an ability? Tag is not getting removed, probably. Maybe add a stun state after a few successful hits. Not for the boss fights, I don't think. The idea for the boss fights is mostly that you, like, when you have the opportunity to hit them, like, you get a little window, and then you need to get the fuck out again. I don't want you to be able to, like, juggle the bosses too much. For normal enemies, more so. I don't know if I've implemented the stun system for normal enemies yet. I think not. But I do plan to have normal enemies be stunnable. Like, when you break their defense, they also should just, like, be stunned for a little while, and you can juggle them a little bit. At some point, they will reset and do, like, a revenge attack and stuff. But, yeah, this is annoying. This is really annoying. He's stuck in there. Now, his state timer is also frozen. Which is weird, because this is still very much getting updated, right? So... the fuck is up with all that? Reaper boss. And his HP percent is at 80. That is definitely not accurate either. So he's probably been stuck in that since 80%, is I'm guessing. Maybe the sequences aren't using blackboard decorators. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Okay, let's put this back off to the side here, and let's make this a little bit smaller as well. So I have a little bit more real estate to work with for the behavior tree, because we'll need it. Actually, can I just like straight up put that somewhere in there? No, I cannot. Would have been too nice. There are some arrows there, so let's check the arrow. Access none, trying to access, remove from parent, level loading, that's not related to this, so we'll ignore for now. Yeah, so now I can actually see my entire screen, which does also help out quite a bit. So yeah, again, the state timer does get updated every half a second. We do ability task, and again, you're really just supposed to run away at this stage, because otherwise you get kind of fucked, as you can see. So yeah, let's do that. How about that? Maybe heal a little bit. There is like a little place here where you could be out of range. So maybe I should increase his range a little bit more. Anyway, the state timer is now at 50 some seconds, and his aggression duration should be at 24. Oh, but I changed the way that works. Now that does fully make sense. I was going to say his aggression duration is at 24 seconds, so he should have done this attack and then switched. But that's after 24 seconds. There is a chance that he does that. He doesn't guarantee to do that. Okay, so now we have him go passive, so we can deal a little bit of damage to him, which his HP percentage set like, yeah, 77%, and I fucking died. Okay, I might need to cheat in a little bit of extra experience here to give myself extra HP, because this is... I'm paying so much attention to the values that actually playing the game is kind of difficult. The blue section on the sector nodes can be used in sequence nodes. No. To be fair, passive state is similar to a stun state. It's a state in which you can attack him. That's the idea. It's so he's not entirely always super aggressive, because with this, like with his aggression state here, as you could just see, it is like almost impossible to hit him. I very much hope that at some point in my lifetime I finish this game and people like it enough to speedrun it, because I want to see speedrunners break that apart, because I'm sure that you can. So that's the idea, right? Is during this portion where he's like, whenever you get within 600 units of him, which we're going to upgrade to 700 actually, he's just gonna attack you, and you're gonna be in for a bad time. You just kind of run away, at which point he chases you as well, which also should be probably a little bit shorter. Let's set that to like 6 seconds, plus or minus 1 instead. And then as long as you survive, he at some point does that special attack where he teleports away, and then he goes into his passive state, taunting you, in this case, allowing you to hit him. That's pretty much going to be the main loop for all the boss fights, which is just a simplified version of what Dark Souls does. To be honest with you, like, Dark Souls doesn't give you a big window to hit the bosses. The windows in this game are going to be a little bit bigger, I think. I was going to put in a experience orb, I think. XP orb. That should not be in the possession rule because that's gonna fuck up. That's one something. Boss door. 112 boss door. There we go. It's called boss door. And let's give this thing like fucking, I don't know, 15,000 experience so that I can actually level myself up a little bit. That's the upside about being the developer. You can just say, hey, I just found 15,000 experience. We're going to mostly be increasing the ever-living hell out of my health. At least a little bit. And then we save game. I haven't actually tested out if save games work with the stats. They should, different save files, but I haven't tested that out. So let's see. It does. Great. Double, triple check. If I load this one, I don't have that. Okay. Amazing. Hadn't tested that yet. I assumed that it would work because loading and saving and loading the stats in general worked when I had one save file, and I just extended my save system. But you never know. Like, you never think that you're making bugs, right? So there's every reason to assume that that might have fucked up. I don't know. Okay. Let's try again. We start with the passive state. Ground. We got in a couple of hits. He's going to be down lower so that it's easier to get in a couple of hits at the start of the fight. Not quite enough in our case to get him all the way down through his HP or his defense bar. Yeah, you see, like, even doing one attack, if you have a very fast weapon, maybe you'll be able to do that. But with a default sword, like, there's no way. And with the scythe especially, like, there's gonna be no way that that works. To be fair, you would never be fighting this guy with the scythe, because that is the weapon that you get from defeating him. So that's a thing. And now he's back in his passive state, at which point he does at some point just reset his defense bar if you take too long. So that is how that does work. I don't think that's how that should work, to be fair. Because that makes him near impossible to actually damage. Let's do a fuck it and try to like pull one of these on him. I mean, that does deal a little bit of damage. Defense bar damage, that is. Okay, that's a little... it's maybe a little unintended that you can follow him that way, but, you know, that's probably fine. He stopped updating... No, okay, he's updated again. I was going to say he stopped updating his HP amount. The thing that does worry me, though, is that his aggression duration is not being updated. And it should be, I believe. I'm also almost dead. If nothing else, I think that I have succeeded here in making a boss fight that is somewhat difficult. Because it's kicking my ass. Again, part of the reason is because I'm focused on something entirely different. But oh my god! But it's also because I think he's just genuinely a bit of a pain in the ass, which is good. Yeah, his aggression timer is not updating. So something about update boss info doesn't work, I don't think. Which is weird because it is being set the first go around, but then now that we are under 60%, like I think the first state difference should be when we get under 70%. Oh, but that might be when it sets it to 24. The passive wait time is now 5.5. That might actually be correct. Let's keep dealing some damage to him and see. I don't have the MP to do the special attack. You know what? I'm going to stand here because I know that it's safe. I'm going to F8 and I'm going to check out what the... Okay, it's maybe not as safe as I thought it was going to be. Oh, I emptied this one out. That's probably why it's fucking up. Okay. So at 70%, I want this to go up to like 28 seconds of aggression time, and then its passive wait time should go down to 4.5 seconds. I said 4.5 seconds. And then at 50% it goes to 32 and 3, and then at 10% it goes to 60, which is insane, and 1. Which is just wow. So yeah, my code probably works. It probably just messed up due to the fact that there was a state with 0 values in there, which is probably... Actually, now we're doing a rerun of it anyway. I want to take this spline and move it up a little bit, and I want to move you down a little bit, so that you're actually like, easier slash possible to hit when you're doing that. Ever thought about using impact frames during hits or special attacks? There is a slowdown when you hit something. It is very subtle because otherwise it proved to be quite... Maybe it's a little too subtle. I've been tweaking the exact like values for it for a while. And I keep going back and forth between increasing and decreasing it. But the thing is, it's very jarring when every single time you hit something, things slow down a noticeable amount. It's one of those things that you want to feel but not notice, you know? And I think maybe I'm a little like too subtle with it now, and you don't really feel it either. Like, you probably still do feel the camera shake. I think the camera shake is pretty good. And I should also note that the only thing that gets slowed down is the actual like 2 characters. It's not like it slows the game down globally, because I did do that as well, and that just felt like a lag spike. Okay, we're not on the 70% yet. Give me. Okay, so now, yeah, it does update now, so that's good. But it does do that somewhere in my code. I just don't know. Like, maybe it should only do that for like the special attack hits. The special attack hits probably could do with like more slowdown or something like that. We also still very much have the issue that we get absolutely yeeted across with some of these attacks. Where is he? Where is he? There he is. Impact frame in a visual sense. In that case, you're going to have to explain a little bit more in depth about what you mean. Because when you say impact frames, what I personally picture is like the way, like in animation, you will often have like a freeze frame for 1 or 2 frames on a hit impact. That's what I meant. But I'm curious to hear what you have in mind. We're going pretty well in this boss fight so far. I mean, I'm absolutely wasting so much MP. Like, he's probably a little too difficult, to be fair. I'm also being maybe a little overly aggressive. But I'm having a decent amount of fun with this fight. So that's pretty good, I would say. Maybe there needs to be a little bit more incentive to run away from him. But then again, if you can just chip away at him, and it is dangerous. Like I did lose again, so maybe you do actually have incentive to run away from him because I keep dying otherwise. So there's that. I also do think that there needs to be a little bit of time in between. Holy shit, that's all the rain. I also think there needs to be a little bit of time in between him switching passive state to aggressive state and him actually attacking for the first time, because there's like no indication that he's switching states. Let's say a special attack insert some few frames visual effect to the effect or even post-processing effect. I mean, there are hit particles. They are very subtle. Well, not subtle. They are very like temporary, but they are already hit particles. But the post-processing effect might be interesting for some of the like the special attacks. That is like specifically for this attack, right? If I do this special attack, like there's again somewhat temporary because they're quite basic. But there is already some visual effects there, and there's hit particles. The hit particles at the moment are just the same for everything. They're just those weird lines that spawn in. Those will be like specialized for each specific weapon to fit a little bit better with like their color and their theme and stuff like that. He's stuck inside of a state again, isn't he? So why does he sometimes just kind of do that? Try to access random index from empty array. Persistent world, third person character. BB special attack 1. That is nothing to do with... Scythe attack. I mean, that is something worth looking into, but that is all with the player character. Okay, so here we have an attack end for the slow attack. Attack end for slow attack. Attack end for slow attack. Thunderstrike in the background. If you look up impact frames animation, you'll find some very good example. Latest DBZ game trailer also showcases a lot of impact frames. I mean, specifically like DBZ does a good job with that. And there needs to be a little bit more visual flair to my attacks, specifically the special attacks. The normal attacks I don't want to like overdo, because you're doing a lot of them like all the time, and it just gets tedious if it is too bombastic. But for the more special attacks that you're only doing once in a while, they definitely need to have a little bit more flair to them than they do right now. Yeah, so this doesn't fully... it's probably because he's doing an ability that's not removing the tag. That has to be it. Right? So... Dash attack 1. Let's just go through all of them. And we'll figure it out at some point, surely. Even for regular attacks. Yeah, but that's also like a very different type of game that I'm making right here. And to be frank, I also do think that that might be a little overkill in what they are doing. But aside from that, that is a very different type of game. But I do think once the hit particles themselves are not like temporary anymore, and I just have proper ones for those, that'll probably do a lot of what you're asking for, to be honest. Okay, activation owned tags, ability tags. Let's remove that because that's not what we're doing. Attack 2, activation owned tags, slow attack. Activation owned tags. That is all the attacks, right? Reaper projectile. That might be it. No, that's still okay. So it does have activation owned tags attack for every single one of them. Not for the teleport attack, maybe? No, also for the teleport attack. So that surely can't be the issue. Okay, I have an idea. For troubleshooting purposes, we're going to go into the event graph here, and in the event tick, we want to get the ability system components, get tags, tag container, split structure pin for each. We want to print. Get tag name. I'm gonna close my window real quick because holy hell, there's a lot of rain coming down from the sky right about now. And my dishes that I was doing earlier today were drying right in front of the window. And I don't know if you know this, but when you want something to dry, having it rained on, little known fact, is usually not a good thing. So, okay, so now what it's going to do is it's going to be printing out its own gameplay tags every frame of the game. That way I will see whether or not it forgets to remove those gameplay tags for whatever fucking reason. Okay, at the moment it doesn't have any gameplay tags, but the moment it starts doing an attack in a moment, it should add the attacking gameplay tag to it. Attack, good. And attack, and we don't have attack anymore. So what I'm assuming is happening when he gets stuck in one of those states, and I don't know what's triggering it, but is that his tag is not getting removed. And that might be because the ability is not ending. And that might just be like a flaw in my own code, to be fair. But I'm pretty sure it should always... like, even if the animation is, for whatever reason, interrupted, it should always, more or less... end the ability. And on end ability, it will remove that tag. So I don't know... I don't know. That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to do... oh, fuck. I wanted to do this one. Yes. Maybe add a toggle point in Blueprint to see if it even triggers. Oh, it is also status.stunt now. Oh, that might be what's happening. Yeah, that's what's happening. I bet you he's stuck in that state now. Yep. Because he's not allowed to... okay, so what is happening, I think, is... somewhere in his code, I don't know where, these abilities aren't allowed to run when he's stunned. And doing that scythe ability stuns him. Now, this generally wouldn't be an issue against this boss fight because you would never be fighting this boss fight with this weapon. But this still is going to be an issue with other boss fights. So I need to look into that. But that 100% is the issue. That 1000% is the issue. My only question is, how does this work again? It's been a while since I programmed that. I think it's in gas, abilities, knockback. This adds the status. That adds status.stun.knockback. So that's probably not it. I think it's pull to player then. And when they're being pulled to the player, it does status.stunned. And then it waits for a gameplay event, player.damage, which is never being delivered. Which is an issue in general, I think. So I think what we'll do is we'll just add a unfinished, and then we'll just add like a delay of half a second. And if they haven't been damaged within that half a second, we also end the ability. Maybe half a second is even a little too long, to be honest with you. I think that'll probably... At least we know what triggered the issue, right? So we can replicate it relatively easily. So we have status.stunned. For some reason that doesn't damage him, but yeah. So now he shouldn't be stuck anymore, right? So if I just look into this real quick, it's gonna be fucking me up when I come back. I can feel it. Okay, he's still in the play montage. Why is he still in play montage? That doesn't make sense. That literally doesn't make sense. Why would he be stuck in this one? Would it not be better to add reaction status to effects onto the character's PP instead of an ability? No, I don't think so. No, I don't see a reason for that to like make a difference to begin with. And the thing is that like this ability is being applied to the characters around the player whenever that special attack happens. So like with this you ensure synchronicity between the ability happening and these and like the tag existing on the actor. If you split that out, you start running the risk of the ability ending but not the tag, or the tag being removed like separate from the ability or being added separate from the ability. That is part of what makes the gameplay ability system so wonderful, is that you can have these things that get like applied and unapplied together with the abilities themselves. But there definitely like was an issue here that this ability never ends unless damage is applied, which apparently it's not being applied right there, which is something else to look into in a moment. Because it should be. Oh, I think I know why, actually. I think I know what the issue is, why it's not applying the damage there. Which is an issue that I need to take into consideration anyway, otherwise that attack will not work against that enemy in general. Again, not that you can even use that ability against this enemy, but... so yeah, characters, player, gameplay ability. We have the Scythe special attack. So what it does is it checks for sphere overlap on the pawn channel. But this thing is not a pawn, this thing is a player block enemy ignore. So it needs to check that as well. And now I need to, just for my own sanity, I'm going to remove this as well. Because that should have fixed it. I probably need to just keep that half a second in there as a failsafe if something really weird goes down. Just after half a second, the ability will end itself. But now this should, like, now at least that deals damage as well, right? And a significant amount of damage at that. So that is, like, quite important. So we can do that one more time, and it deals, like, a fuck of a ton of damage. Matter of fact, it lets me kind of destroy him. Like, very, very easily. Again, this weapon isn't even available against this fight, because you win it from this fight. And he doesn't disappear when he dies, because no code is implemented for that yet. So that attack might be a little bit too powerful to begin with. The amount of damage that does is kind of insane. Oh no, the issue isn't that that it's not allowed to do damage here. The issue was just that it finds things to damage based on collision. And this thing is just operating on a separate collision channel from normal enemies. So it was not registering. That attack can do damage against this guy, no problem. The issue was that there was no damage tag being applied because this thing was just simply not getting damaged, which is fixed now. But that still maybe doesn't quite fix the fact that he gets stuck in states, which is annoying. All that said though, I am going to go back in here. And on finish, we are going to add back in that delay of half a second to end the ability. Just because if something ever goes wrong with this again, this is just nice to have as a failsafe. Okay, so do you get stuck in this state now that I've smacked you with that? No, you do not. Which is interesting, because that implies that it was something else supplying that issue. And that's not something that makes me happy. I'm just, like, destroying him to see if it is anything, like, to do with a certain HP threshold, but it doesn't seem to be. Is it to do with being attacked during an attack? Could that be something to do with it? Well, he just teleported away at the perfect moment. I think he does play the animation twice, but that's neither here nor there at the moment. I could use a little bit more HP. And MP to get that HP with. Because now I can't dash either. So this is kind of fucked. Let's get out of here. Aside from the things that don't work, I do think that this is a pretty, like, decent boss fight now. And with the things that don't work, I mean mostly the fact that sometimes he just gets stuck in a state, which we might have fixed now, or maybe not. I guess we'll figure out by just fighting him a bunch of times. Okay, so we're properly under 10% now, which means that he's going to be aggressive for at least a full minute until he gives us a fucking break. So we're gonna die. I don't know if we've been just like lucky or unlucky, depending. Or if something is up, but he's not done his projectile attack so far yet. Which I guess is only like a 30% chance anytime he does an attack that he does a projectile. So, but that should be like roughly 1 in 3 attacks, and that definitely does not seem to be the rate that we're getting them at. Because at the moment the rate that we're getting them at is none. Did I set a lower down 1 in 30? Or well, 30%, not 1 in 30. Maybe I didn't compile after the last stream, and that code didn't update yet, which would mean that it is a very, very low chance to happen now. No, because the random thing for the... No, I think something else is just going a little bit weird. Because we still have the random chance for the like teleport attack to happen, and that definitely is happening. So it's just something else going a little bit weird there, or it's just statistics. Just sometimes randomness seems just broken because that's what randomness does. Make his hat take more damage vertical platforms. I think we've got... That would make it a little bit more dynamic. That is not a bad idea. That does also like introduce yet another element. I'm going to stick with this and have people play test this before I add in more elements to this fight. Because I feel like there's maybe already enough happening here. On the other hand, it might be a little too plain. It's kind of difficult to tell sometimes. But again, I am like actively dying a lot. So there's going to be a little bit of tweaking and fixing needing to be done. Because I think this might be a little too punishing. Like we're making it. Well, I don't like to call this a Souls-like because there's like, I feel like there's enough differences between this and a Souls-like to say, hey, this is like actually a little different. So I like to call this a Souls-light. So it being somewhat punishing is not a bad thing. I also don't know why he floats away when he dies. That is a little weird. But having something more happening like in this arena might be a good thing. It might be a little too simplistic, but again, I need to see how players respond to this when they have like actual controller in the hand and they're in this room. Just to see how they deal, really. So yeah, what the hell's up with this? Random chance here is... Oh! Chance is 0. That explains a lot. That should be 30. Which reminds me, we probably also want to take a look into making that projectile. Because right now that's still just a sphere that we've stretched out. You can try adding Caps the randomness, for example, if the attack completely random, certain attacks cannot happen multiple times or has a cooldown. For the normal attacks, I don't mind if it is completely random. Like, you can make pseudo randomness, where you go through everything in a list randomly, but repeats aren't allowed to happen until the entire list has happened. Like, that's quite easy to make, but I'm not overly worried about that. Matter of fact, that would probably then in the end make the fight a little bit more predictable than I would like. Yeah, I think those particles also just kind of need to die after a certain point, because they just... Or particles, those projectiles, I mean... maybe they need to move a little bit faster. I think if they moved a little bit faster, that would probably be better. Let's put this up here and then try to find out where. I think the easiest way to do that is just to open up this ability, and then we probably actually just have it in here, right? A projectile. So, oh, it's an event tick. There we go. We have the... Yeah, so let's put that at like 1,000 instead. And let's also make a slightly better mesh for this, because this is kind of sad, isn't it? So, time to enlarge the viewport a little bit more again. And then we'll make a simple mesh. Maybe that's a little too wide. You don't want to have the details panel still. Okay, let's make a model for this. Modeling, we're going to get started here with... It's a very good question. How are we going to get this started? I guess just with a plane. Let's just get started with a plane at first, and then we'll see how we go from there. Because the idea is kind of just... Oh, we'll have a good scale reference here if we do it like this, so that's good. The idea is kind of just that we have like this wedge, right? And we can poly edit, insert edge loop. Can we say how many edge loops somewhere in here? I think we can. Thought we could do that with like control scrolling maybe. We can just do it like this, that's fine. There is a way to do this better, but I don't care. So if we just like kind of do this and angle it kind of like that, and then we deselect this one, only of these two, and then we'll subdivide this in a second again, don't worry. That's actually not bad. Like, surprisingly pretty alright. Oh, by the way, there is like a million better ways to do it than doing this like vertice by vertice like I'm doing right now. But if it works, it works. It certainly do be working right now. Probably want this to be a little bit narrower though. Alright, we have that. It's going to be a double-sided material, so don't worry about backface culling. From there, I think what we can do is we can... Somewhere in here we have a mirror. And we can mirror this. Let's make sure that our I don't even know. I don't even know. This needs to be inverted, I think. Down. Up. We want to mirror this in some direction. Forward. Backward. There we go. That's how we want to mirror this. Kind of. That'll do. And we need to make that a little bit less sharp, but we just subdivide the entire thing and that'll make it less sharp. Where did... Oh, subdivide is in polygroup edit, right? Is it? No, that's a separate effect. Hold on. We'll get there. Subdivide, there we go. You see, that's a lot smoother now. And if we put on proper material for this, I think this is pretty decent. Maybe. We'll see. And with the proper material, I mean, we're just going to make like material, projectile, scythe. Let's call this actually scythe projectile material. And really all this is going to be is it's going to be a translucent material with a texture sample with a purulent noise going into the opacity. And then we'll do some math on it, but base color, I can't wait to update to 5.4 where you just have default fields that you can easily click on. But for now this is going to be, actually let's do it in the emissive color, because why not? Purplish. Multiply that by like, I don't know, 10. And then multiply, and I always forget it doesn't matter what order you do multiply and exponents in. I think it does. Let's try with subtract and multiply first. And then we also want to saturate. So let's subtract log 0.2 and then multiply by like 4. That's a bit too much. 0.5. Let's actually try to just put it on this specific mesh so that you can see what we're doing. What the fuck? Oh, it needs to be double-sided. Hold on. Two-sided. That immediately makes this better. And this also probably could do with being stretched out a little bit along its UVs. Textual coordinates. Let's see, U-tiling 5. Probably just in a very bad place. I'm gonna go there. There we go. So yeah, that's definitely scrolling in the wrong fucking direction. But that's easy to fix. We just swap these two around. Yeah, that's way too fast. So let's just say this direction divided by like 5. I think that means it'll take 5 seconds to loop around. Okay, and then we need to turn it around. So -1. Okay. I don't know why sometimes it does play and sometimes it doesn't in this viewport. That's a little weird. Cool. Then in general, after, well, let's do before the panning because I don't know how that's going to impact it. I also want to, I think... Oh. I always get mixed up with, I literally just uploaded a video on like material math. I always get mixed up on it. I always do. Let's do like 9 and then this like 3. That's pretty good. Okay, now if we fix up the UVs on this thing because they are a mess. They don't work the way I want them to anymore. Open the UV editor. The UVs are better now. We just need to rotate them. And if we want to rotate them, we want to... transform, there we go. Rotation. I think we want to rotate them like that. Maybe. I don't even know. Like, that portion probably doesn't matter. I don't really care about it sticking within the borders. Okay, yeah, that's cool. Just gotta go back now and turn this back into a positive one. But aside from that, I think that is pretty much what we need, right? Okay, there's a little bit of weirdness there in the middle. That definitely does need to be rotated as well. Oh, but that's going to be an issue, isn't it? We'll see if it's an issue. Doesn't really matter which direction this one faces, because it's going to be either... Need to apply it in order to see it. Yeah, that does improve things quite significantly. Any second. Okay, I think we're back. I think we're back online. That's good. That's good. Most people left in the... I think I was down for like a minute. I might have been down for a while. I don't know. I'm looking into Unreal select mesh with translucent material. There is a way to do this. I always forget it. Hit T and try again. There we go. Now I can remove this. Side projectile mesh. We can scythe projectile. That, wow, that looks that kind of looks cool though. That kind of looks really cool. That's not what I want though, but that is definitely a thing to remember. If you have like just a sphere with like nice round UVs, that makes a really cool effect. We're down for a minute or two. Oh, okay, that's, yeah, I figured. It wasn't that long. I didn't name that mesh, did I? So it's gonna be fucking impossible to find now. Damn. Scythe wedge. I don't know what half these meshes are like. What the fuck even? Oh, that's the outline for a level. That's what that is. So if I just look for wedge, scythe wedge, set this back to 111. It's a little too large actually. That's somewhat more like it. We can make the box collision a bit bigger for this. That's fine. Probably will make it hit things a little bit faster as well. That's kind of good. Projectile material. Yeah, that's nice. Having the UVs actually going through like and bending around also gave a nice effect, so you might look into that. But for now, I think this will do. I just want to see what this looks like in combat, in engine, in the moment. We've been live for already like 2 hours, which means that for the first time in a while, officially ended yet. So it should still be streaming to the same event now. This will be a separate like thought on Twitch, but so yeah, I probably got cut off in the middle of a sentence there. I was gonna say, for the first time in like forever, I did a stream today, like the 2 hours that I streamed, and we kind of just did what I expected to get done, which is that animation and that ability. So that's great. As long as everything like got saved before I blue screen. I think everything important was saved. Hopefully. So I'll just finish this off real quick and then I'm going to end the stream because it has been 2 hours, even though my streaming says I've been live for 2 minutes. It's been 2 hours. Okay. Yeah, that mesh still needs a little bit more work. And just more particles. More particles is always the answer. Does something look like shit? More particles. I just need to get better at particles. Specifically because I'm also going to be doing an introductory like series to particles, so I need to get like better at it myself. Oh, now you're going to be doing that attack, and then you're going to be passive. I just want you to throw things at me. That's so difficult. Yeah, come at me, bro. Laugh, 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 laugh. I do like the laughing with the simulation. Like the cloth simulation, that actually works out fairly nicely. Just do your projectile thing, please. I probably should just set that to 100% for the testing of this. It'll be a lot easier than baiting him into doing it. Yeah, let's do that. Because it seemed like everything else was saved before I crashed, so that's a good thing. So we blueprints, enemies, characters, bosses, Reaper. Let's just set this to like, I don't know if 100 itself will work. It should, but let's just set it to 95. I did set it to 95, right? I did. That's bridge. That's not what I want. And this thing, yeah, let's rework this a little bit more. Because it's a little bit too big still. So I think we're going to... Probably should do this in modeling mode, but mostly just want to squish this down a fair bit, I think. Oh, and this might have not updated. Oh, that did update. It's just still too slow. And I think we might want to put this up a little bit higher as well. So let's put that to like 0.3. So that the movement of the thing matches the movement of the other thing. The movement of the material matches the movement of the object, roughly. I could just make it projectile world space, and that way it would always match the movement, but I don't think that I actually wanted to like fully match the movement through the world. I just want it to move at a speed that feels similar to the speed that it's moving at. If that makes any sense. That feels a bit better. It did just spawn that, yeah, fairly late. It doesn't feel like it's coming from the scythe. I'll give it that, but it's also backwards, which is easily solvable. Oh yeah, that makes sense because this is the positive direction. Yeah, no, that's on me. That should just be 180 degrees flipped. But at this point it's more or less impossible to dodge. So let's put this up to 2000 because it's still a little too slow. And then the rotational update will be down to 75. So we'll move faster in the forward direction, but it will be less homing. Because it's also a little bit too homing at the moment. And this is why I made my own projectile instead of just using the projectile component, because that's a nightmare to like individually deal with in that. Because the homing strength is a movement speed. That felt good. Like just being able to jump over it like that, that felt really good. And I think the speed of this is starting to feel pretty good as well. The faster it moves, the less that it should be able to home, which is exactly what the homing does in the projectile movement command. But I have proper control over it now, and that's what matters. So let's actually like go up to like 2300-ish. And I think that'll probably start feeling pretty good now. It is kind of annoying that he starts as passive for testing purposes. It is good for the actual fight. That's what I want for the actual fight. For testing purposes, it is very, very annoying. Okay, throw one at me. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. That feels fast enough that you actually like need to react pretty quickly, but not so fast. What the fuck? Why is there two of them? Oh, because they don't. They're not dying when they hit the ground for some reason. Why is that? Let's see. Deal damage to player. And then destroy actor. Whenever they overlap with something that is not the... Yeah, no, that should trigger that. That should trigger that. What are you looking out for? Are you not looking for world static? You are also looking for world static. So... why are they not dying when they hit this? Because these should be world static. I am like 92.5% sure. Collision preset. Yeah, this is world static. Right? That's the thing that I have selected now? Yeah. So that should destroy it. I mean, when it hits the player, it deals damage and destroys itself, right? So let me actually test that. I'm not 1000% sure that it does. I think it does. Yeah, it does. So it, and it did destroy itself before when it hits the ground as well. Right? It's kind of difficult to... well, at some point, it'll come back. Yeah, no, I think it dies now. So maybe that was just a bug. He teleported, didn't he? Yeah, he did. Yeah, maybe that was just a bug. Because it seems to be working now. So just something a little weird. Again, all seems in order. Okay, so the last thing to take into account for now is adding in a blocking volume. In the proper level. That's 112. That's not the level that I want. I want 115. Reaper Boss. So yeah, if we add in a blocking volume here, and we make this a cylinder, give that like a big outer radius, nice and big Z value as well, a lot more sides, and then we want it to be hollow, so we have a inner radius as well. If I increase the inner radius to... okay, that's how that works. I hope that it would also just like increase the outer radius with it, but doesn't seem like it does. Pretty much gets the point across, I think. And just for like testing reasons, there is a way to like select components in the viewport. I just forgot what it is. We can just take this and put it in there. So we actually spawn inside of here, so we're not blocked out of it. But that should now trap us in there with him, so we can't just go stand to the side. Except that it does not. Why? Because I only move the arrow and not the actual scene component that it samples. Because I'm a genius. Just smart like that. Just there we go. So now we can't escape this arena until I say so. Which effectively makes this boss fight more or less complete. Again, except for like the win condition and stuff like that. But and some stuff to do maybe with the resetting of the defense bar. But that's the thing that lies a little bit deeper than just this boss fight. That is something that I need to look into how I set that up to begin with. Because I think if I just stay away for a while now... oh my god. He's going to regain his full defense bar. And that is not behavior that I want on bosses. That is the behavior that I want on enemies. If you just hit an enemy a couple of times and I'll run away. Oh yeah, I should have probably thought about that as well, eh? Yeah, that is a problem. Well, that gives me an opportunity to test my theory about him resetting his defense bar after a while, because it doesn't actually seem like he does. So that's actually good. But now my question becomes, if he doesn't do that, do normal enemies do that? Because I thought they did, but maybe I already like override that in the base boss class or something like that. I just go find a random enemy, smack him a couple of times and see what happens. And these very, very empty hallways that need to be filled with a lot more stuff. Okay, there's a couple of enemies here. Let's smack you a couple of times. Okay, that was a little bit too much smacking. But okay, you have only half defense now. Do you at some point reset? Because I think you should. Maybe you don't. It doesn't seem like you do. Okay, I'm gonna have to think about what I want to decide to do with that. Because maybe that's just fine. Maybe that is just straight up okay. I think it might be, to be honest with you. So yeah, that special attack is way too OP. Like, that needs to take much more mana, and or not deal as much damage, because you can damage multiple things at the same time, and it's just it's a bit too OP, I think. But yeah, I'm just walking around my dungeons now. I'm gonna ignore those arrows because everything works. The only thing that I do want to immediately go back to real quick is this. Sure, can just make that ridiculously large. Instead of making this an invisible wall, we're gonna set this to custom collision. Block everything except for this, so that the enemy, like the boss, can still move through it, but the player won't be able to. And that'll only be relevant for that specific special attack. So let's just hang out for a moment. And we just kind of wait until he does that attack and see if the dashing now works. I think he might need more attacks as well, still. I just figured out, hey, maybe... Okay, that is still a problem. Yeah, that projectile still. Okay, at least he can do the dashing thing. I don't know what the fuck is going on with his movement there, but we're just gonna pretend like that's okay. Yeah, I think he's got like momentum somehow. A little bit. Or he's trying to move toward a very weird spot on the spine. Anyway, yeah, so maybe he also needs an attack similar to like this attack, right? But it won't pull in the player. I feel like that's a little bit unfair because that's just undodgeable. But just an attack that kind of does like this, right? The circular attack, and then emits a like an actor that is like a shockwave type thing. So it just grows in a like circular fashion. That might be a neat thing to do. To give it a little bit more variation of different attacks that he can do. Because right now he can just like dash and do a couple of different like slashing animations, but those are effectively the same attack. And then he's got the projectile, which is just one more attack. I think he needs more variation in his attacks still. So we're maybe not quite finished yet, but I will say that if we don't like finish that new attack, which we probably will, doesn't seem that complicated. He's stuck in his attacking state. He didn't get rid of his attacking. Okay, hold on. He didn't get rid of his attacking tag. That is... Fuck. Okay. Let's take a look at this. Because there's a lot of this. Where did it start? That's not to do with that. Surely there is something in here that tells me what ability he did when he started this, right? We were walking around for like a hot minute, so it's gonna be quite far back, potentially. Quite far back indeed. I haven't seen an end attack from the previous ability yet, so we're still in the inactive UI action bindings. Okay, no idea what that means, but we'll again look into that when that becomes a problem. Okay, I'm gonna start scrolling a little bit quicker because this is probably the most interesting content any of you have ever seen. Scythe attack, yeah, sure. So I still do think that it is yeah, so here we have teleport attack and then it keeps printing. Then it keeps printing attack. Why does it keep printing attack after the teleport attack? It feels like what happens. It feels like what happens is the ability doesn't end, but it gets interrupted. And that doesn't remove the tag. Unless this doesn't have the proper tag. No, it does. Yeah, that seems that seems like an engine bug, or well, like a plugin bug. To be honest with you, because I do not think that there's like, oh, hold on, play montage and wait doesn't have an uninterrupt, so uninterrupted doesn't end the ability. That's the issue. So if for any reason it tries to play a different montage while this is playing, the ability never ends, and the tag never gets removed. So that's only for the teleport ability. We got stuck in other abilities before. So that doesn't quite... I guess we can put uncancelled here as well. And uncomplete as well, just to be thorough. Shouldn't be necessary, but... They just inherit from that. And this... I guess we should put uninterrupted and uncancelled here as well, just to be sure. And then slow attack just inherits from that as well. Projectile, does that even have the tag? It does. Yeah, I think that'll fix that, but I'm not going to test it right now because this is the end of today's stream. So yeah, as I said, we've actually for once done everything that I expected to do in a stream, which is a very, very foreign feeling to me. I guess on Thursday we'll be back and we'll do probably what's going to be the last stream in this series of just working on only this boss fight. And that'll include like making like one more attack and giving him some stats, because at the moment he just uses the pre-existing night boss stat sheet, which is obviously probably not what he wants. So we'll look into that as well, and then after that we will be done with this and we'll be moving on with other stuff. I'm not entirely sure. We'll probably do some level design. I need to make some mini games to include in the dungeons as well. Just like fun little tiny mini games. So I'll probably look into doing some of those on stream, because that seems like a fun micro project to do as well, right? Like thinking of a mini game, making it, programming it, setting it up. It's probably a thing that we can do in like 2 or 3 weeks worth of streams. And then we also have, if I go in here, I have like a rough block out for like a bunch of new levels as well, that we can fill with some more stuff, as well as filling out the actual like corridors in this dungeon a lot more. So there's a lot of probably going to be like level design streams over the next couple of months, I would assume. Like refining this and setting up that, and then we'll have like 2 dungeons more or less done out of the 6 that we have. And there's going to be a lot more enemies needed as well. So I don't know. How long are you developing this game with gas? I switched to gas, I don't know, probably a year ago by now. How old is my gameplay ability series on YouTube? Because you can add like 3 or 4 months to that. Is when I started implementing it in this. Like, that was after about 2 months of learning myself. Let's take a look. Let's take a look. I have my YouTube app right here with me. Just need to scroll down and down and down. Okay, we've gone to the gameplay ability videos. The first one is ability system components. Also has 10k views. Wow. Is now 157 days. So that's okay, halfway through December. So that's like 4 months. Another like 3-4 months. So that's somewhere between half a year and 3/4 of a year. I think we've been working on gameplay ability with this game. The game as a whole had like a entire like custom combat system before that, which kind of sucked because it crashed the game. So this project is at this point I think a year and a half old. This project file, before that we had a version of it in Unity, which I spent half a year on. So we're probably getting close to 2 years of work on this now. But we're making good progress. There's still probably like a year and a half to 2 years to go, if I'm being honest with you. So because I also get distracted doing side projects like the Godot streams that I've been doing. That's part of the reason that I decided, hey, maybe I used to have puzzles as part of the design in every dungeon. I replaced that with minigames because, number one, puzzles are a nightmare to test. Also, I am one of those kind of people who's like, I'm only going to have one of this puzzle, but I want to like program it in a very modular way. So I waste way too much time programming the puzzles as well. And then I kind of want to trick myself into like when I do a side project to have it be productive towards this game, and doing those like little mini games to gain like a key to the boss door in every single one of these dungeons. I can kind of trick myself into doing a side project that then also ends up in this game because it's a mini game. So it's like a little microcosm of game development, which helps me like quickly iterate, quickly do stuff, experiment with stuff in something that is a lot more flexible than this huge ass project. But it's also not wasting my time doing something that's not productive toward this project. I like the Godot streams. I'm having a lot of fun with the Godot streams, but at the end of the day, that's just because I want to test out Godot and because I want to make a video about Godot. But that's 0% going to help out this game. Aside from sometimes stepping away from a project and then coming back to it like a few weeks later. Can be just refreshing, right? Like I said earlier in the stream, my combat feel, I changed some things about the combat feel, mostly the animations and like the amount of like homingness that my attacks have. And I changed that, and then I didn't play the game for a while because I have been working on like a lot of animation stuff and then like just programming for this guy and then doing the Godot streams and working on like YouTube videos more over the last like month or so. So today I actually played a somewhat substantial amount of the gameplay experience of this game again. And I was kind of taken aback by the feeling of the thing that I myself programmed, which is a good thing. Well, I don't know if it's a good thing that I was taken aback by it. I need to play more, and other people need to play it for like feedback related stuff. But taking that time away, I think, still is valuable in like gaining a little bit of distance from the thing you made, so that you can more objectively look at it when you come back. So side projects still are valuable for that. But if I can trick myself into side projects that actually further the development of the game, that's probably even better. So yeah, that's a little bit of a tangent. For a single developer, great job. Yeah, it's a lot of work, but I'm not displeased with it. There's a lot of rough edges. Like, I'm not the best level designer in the world. I'm not the best artist in the world. Far from it. As I've complained about a couple of times throughout this very stream, I'm not the best animator in the world. So there's a lot of rough edges, which there's probably going to be some effort made toward the polishing phase of the development to spice things up there. But there's also just going to be things that are going to be a little bit rough even in the final game because I'm doing everything myself. And I've been such an idiot to like scope this game way too big. But at this point, I don't think I can scope it down reasonably again. So I couldn't even like hire people if I wanted to because it's just too much. And that would be like stupidly expensive for a game that's probably not even going to like sell more than a handful of copies, if I'm being real with you. Like, I would be surprised if I get my retainer back or my deposit back from Steam by the time I publish this. Because if you want to publish on Steam, you need to pay like $100 per game, which you'll get back if you make more than $1,000 on it. Which then at that point Steam takes like 40% off, but that's aside. I would be surprised if we get to that, to be honest with you. This is mostly, and maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised. But this is mostly just I want to make this like real bad kind of game, and we'll see. I do have some other plans for even more insanely scoped things after this, but once this is done in like a year or two, I'll probably like take a couple of months to make something smaller before moving on to a big project again. I don't know. I'm rambling. I'm gonna end the stream here. I'll be back on Thursday with some more progress on this, and then this fucking boss will finally be done, and we can move on to like all of the million things I just mentioned. You guys have a good one, and I'll see you back then. Bye.